Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm Asmi Jain, and it's truly an honor to serve as today's program coordinator. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to today's session of this FDP on research paper writing, where we have the privilege of learning from the immensely knowledgeable Dr. Krunal Soni, sir. This event has been thoughtfully organized by the Research Foundation of India in collaboration with Shodh Malwa, Parallel University Gujarat, Eklavya University, JHRF, ARGA, and Edu Academic Inc. Now, I'm pleased to introduce our esteemed session expert. We are delighted to welcome Dr. Krunal Soni, an Associate Professor of Finance and Accounting. Sir brings 10 years of academic and 2.5 years of industrial experience, holding a PhD in management and an MBA in finance. His research is impactful, evidenced by 26 publications in Scopus, ABDC, and Web of Science journals, and a Government of India patent on techno-innovation and growth of Indian share market. A recognized scholar, he has earned 3 Best Research Paper awards and has been a PhD guide since 2022. Now I humbly request Sir to begin today's session. So over to you.
Thank you, madam. Just confirm the screen sharing. Yeah, I hope it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. So, good evening, all. On this faculty development program on paper writing. That is, we are talking in terms of research, and we had a lot of discussion, for the entire process at the time of hypothesis design and development and testing. Okay. So now one of the important parameter again after hypothesis, or rather I can say, you know, this particularly portion, if you read or if you refer any sort of research paper, so usually the compiling references and bibliography is always the last work that every researcher needs to execute. But rather, I have a different perspective and I have a different opinion that this is not the last work that researcher has to do, but I think this is the second most top priority work that every researcher needs to do after the title, the rough title that we have decided, or the domain or area that we have finalized, based on which we want to carry out our work. So based on which we need to compile all those resources, which are directly or indirectly are going to be the part of our supporting elements to carry out our research to be on fruitful and logical ground. So that is where this particular component is going to very, very important for all of us. So basically, compiling, referencing, and bibliography has direct relation with the systematic literature review that we are doing it. And we have already discussed as far as the systematic literature review is concerned. So basically, this particular activity or this particular work that we have to do it for our research work to give the proper directions of our work, to give the proper guidance, and to mold your research into particular domain or area. We need to do this particular compiling, referencing, and bibliography as a part of our research work. So this is very, very important, and this is very, very crucial component as far as the research journey is concerned, right? If at all we are not maintaining, or if at all we are not giving the priorities to this particular domains or to this particular criteria, so research says that somehow we are sacrificing to the research component that we need to justify for our research work, or somehow we are not taking those things into priority which are very, very essential or which are very, very important to take into consideration. That is where the compiling, referencing, and bibliography is going to be one of the important parameters, to justify your research work, that you have taken this particular idea or prospects from some other researcher. So that is where you can differentiate that, this is the idea that I have taken from this particular research work. And this is nothing wrong in that, right? Because another logical utilization of compiling, referencing, and bibliography is whenever any researcher needs to consider their research work to be correct on ethical ground, right? So every researcher has to use this referencing and bibliography, right? So that is where the compiling of referencing and bibliography plays a significant role. If you want to consider or if you want to make your work to be correct on terms of ethically correct, so that is where it is also going to be useful. Can anybody tell me how the references and bibliography will help the researcher to consider their work to be ethically correct? How can we differentiate that this particular work is ethically correct and this particular work is not correct in terms of ethical ground? Is there any benchmark? Is there any criteria to define? Is there any criteria? Anyone?
So you have to just give the referencing or the credit to avoid the plagiarisms and acknowledging the uh, intellectual property, if any, to keep transparency in the research.
Correct. Right. So this is where you are making transparency, right? Okay. Any other answers? Come teacher. Okay. Sorry, one. Ana chaw pee ke to. Any other answers? See, if you are reading any research paper and if you want to differentiate that what is your original work and what is the work that you have taken from the others, right? So what tools or what the way out that has been left out for you. So whenever we are reading any sort of research paper, for our own ground or for our own purpose, you must have noticed there are certain parts which are not being cited, and there are almost other parts which are always being cited. Yeah, I'm talking in terms of the quality paper that we are referring, right? From the good journals, from the quality journals. Understood? So there are certain parts which has been referred and cited, and there are certain parts which are, keep it as usual. So the answer for this question is whenever any researcher who have already published their research paper into good quality journals, and if they have taken the ideas from other researcher, they need to give the citations, right? They need to give the references, right? So wherever you feel, wherever you have noticed any sort of citations for any of the sentence in the research paper, please try to understand that researcher is giving the credits to that particular person for the help that this person has extended in terms of publishing the quality paper on the same topic for which we are looking for the supporting elements, supporting parameters, supporting theories, which is called underlying theories also. And that is where this particular researcher has given you some blueprints, based on which we can carry forward our legacy of doing research on the same topic. And we would be able to provide some innovative things to the society, right? So this is where the references and bibliography plays an important role. And that is where we always have to have a keen eyes on these particular portions. So this is the flow of presentation that we are going to see in this particular session. We will consider the meaning of references and bibliography, followed by the beginning process of bibliography and references, how it is going to be begin. Then we also see the needs and requirements for the research work that we are doing. We are already discussed in a bird overview, but we will go into detailed manner why it is required. If at all anybody is doing a research, either in terms of writing PhD thesis, either in terms of drafting a research paper, or either in terms of applying for any sort of research project, either it is a minor or it is a major, in all sort of things we need the references and bibliography. So that is where we also need to see that what is the needs and requirements of this bibliography. Then we will also see the different types of referencing and bibliography that we have to see, right? So we must have to see the different sort of types of bibliography that we have it. We also see if we are following different types of bibliography. So obviously, the types of bibliographies are going to be differentiate from their own perspective based on the different sort of elements that we are taking for our references and bibliography. So we also need to take care about the different sort of elements that we have to take care as a part of references and bibliography. Then different formats in which the references and bibliography needs to be prepared and needs to be keep it as a supporting element. So we will also see the formats of references and bibliography. And then lastly, we will also check if at all any researcher is maintaining the citations for any sort of content that they are looking for. So how can researcher can be differentiate between the references and bibliography, right? If somebody is asking me how you can do it, so my answer to this question is it's very simple, or rather I can say it's a very thin line of difference. But if I need to justify the thin line of difference, then it would be very difficult, right? That thin line of difference is how much, where it is. So that is where we need to understand between the referencing and bibliography that we are keeping separately. You'll not find those both the things together in a common meaning. Although people are writing, but it is conceptually wrong. We should not write oblique bibliography, right? But we need to keep it separately for both the aspect, right? So that is where there is a difference between referencing and bibliography that we will also see. Okay, so meaning of referencing and bibliography. So obviously, this is the component which every researcher has to keep in the last part of the paper or any of the research documents that researchers are preparing. And basically, this portion defines the actual address, actual directions of the content that has been, deployed, that has been utilized in your research paper, and that is what you have cited or that is what you have consulted during the research and writing process, right? So that is where the references is considered to be one of the important parameters in all such aspect. If somebody is asking me what should be your referencing and bibliography, so my answer to this question is anything and everything that is directly or indirectly supporting to my research work, wherein I'm getting some ideas to do the research, to execute my research work. So all the sources, I could consider it as a sources of referencing and bibliography. So it has been mentioned on the slide that these sources could be any books, journal articles, websites, any reports, any sort of reports, right? Because there are multiple types of reports, but which type of report we are talking about is completely depends upon what I can say is the topic on which we are drafting the particular research work, and based on the topic, what sort of things or parameters that we are looking for to get into the market, right? Interviews and any other materials that contributed to the development of your work. The references sections usually follows the main body of the text and any appendices. This is very important line which I have already mentioned, that if you're reading certain research paper, then based on this research paper, how can we differentiate that this is the content that has been drafted by the researcher and this is the content that has been taken by the researcher from the other researcher. So the keen line of difference or main idea to differentiate those things is to have the citations, right? So wherever you are seeing the citations in the research work, you can consider those things, as a part of, that this is the topic or this is a theory that has been taken as a supporting elements from the researchers, right? I cannot say that this is the entire content we have taken, but yes, we have prepared certain content based on the content that we have, observed in previous research paper, and we feel that that this content is going to be the game changer for our research work. So that is where we have given a place into our research work through citations, right? So that is where each entry in references list include very essential bibliographic information that is about the sources from where the content has been taken, and the information which we talks about in terms of essential is the name of authors that we need to take up. Author ka naam kya hai? Then it has to be followed by the title of the paper. The topic, rather, I can say, on which we are drafting a research work. Date of publication, so when it is going to be published or when it has been published. Publisher is applicable. And apart from that, you should also have some volume number, issue number, page number where the particular article has been drafted, right? We have already seen the referencing in bibliography. So according to that, we need to put all such details into the research paper, right? As a part of referencing in bibliography that we need to prepare for our research work. So what are the benefits of having these references? So basically, it helps you to identify the scope or the area on which the research needs to be drafted, so that when you have huge amount of sources or huge amount of topic wherein you are non decisive, आप डिसीजन नहीं ले पा रहे हो कि मैं क्या करूं और क्या नहीं करूं. Even if you reach at certain conclusion कि मैं ये करूंगा और ये नहीं करूंगा, but then again you have a confusion that whether this has already been happened in the past or not. If happened, then on what parameters, on what variables, and if at all after having this much amount of scrutiny, the next part that researcher has to do is on which topic I can do the research, because only the things which has already been done in the past is not suffice the purpose to add those topic into your research work. But at the same time, research always happens with the data, right? I hope you all are agree with that. Without data, you can hardly give a justification to your research work. So if at all you want to certainly conclude or proceed with the research work, you always need to ensure that the collection of data should be proper and it should not get sacrificed at any point of time. So that is where we have to have clean observations on all such aspects, and that is where we have to have very broad overview and broad prospect for carrying out multiple things, right? Then identify the research which is ethically correct, morally original, and most importantly, it should have some significance towards the society. It should contribute something to the society, right? If we are publishing any sort of research, and if I need to justify all these three grounds, so please try to understand ethically correctness. As I already said, you can't take the credits of some others' work by deploying their works into your research work, right? So that is where you have to ensure, being a researcher, that if at all you are taking something from someone, it is your responsibility to give the credit to that particular person for the research work or the idea that has been provided to your research work, right? That is where you are considering yourself to be morally correct. Original means you have to take the credits for the work that has been done by you only. You should not take the credits of some other work. That is where you must need to ensure that your research work should be original. And most importantly, it should be significant, means ultimately whatever research that we are doing it for any other purpose for any time, it should be it should be significant, means it should provide something to the society. If at all it is not providing something ordinary to the society, the research has no societal importance. And we all know that research without societal importance has no relevance, has no readers, and has no importance, right? So that is where it is very important that whenever we are doing any research work, we also need to identify the focused area of research on which we want to conduct the entire journey. So that is where identification of gap, right? We had already discussed at the time of hypothesis testing and development. Then in research, it is very, very important to define your focused area on which you want to carry out your entire research work. That is, you can always do it with the systematic literature review on all the probable areas which are going to be affected, for your aspect. Clear? Then define research as a full of fundamental knowledge. Obviously, your research should always be touched and concerned with the fundamental knowledge, right? So that is where we always have to have fundamentally correct, right? It should not get sacrificed at any point of time, right? And that is where it always help you out to find out the quality of work done, and also helps to get the citation process and help in avoiding plagiarism, right? So if at all you are carrying any sort of research, the references always help you out to avoid the plagiarisms. Okay. So this is a cycle, which you always have to see to it, right? If you observe these four pictures, so you note that one person is planning to have a significant research on any domain, right, in which he belongs. So he's trying to read multiple papers, right? So you can see the bunch of paper in front of him, right? So now he has started his journey, but although the journey looks tough, but he has started his journey. Then during a journey, he feel that there are many things which are which he has not experienced earlier, or there are certain new concept, theories, principles, prospects that he has noticed during his reading perspective. So then he feel that instead of just reading and putting papers aside, let's have some writing perspective for the important topics that he needs to jot down from the entire research work, right? So if you see that there is a dots, in the second picture, he feel, very tidy because this process that he has to concede, right? It's not a cup of tea for everyone, right? Or it's not a joke for everyone, right? So he need to make certain efforts, wherein he is doing it very sincerely for all such process that he has to do. Psychologically and fundamentally, he is not strong enough, right? Because he's a beginner of the research. Let's say he's doing PhD, so you don't know the exactly how to make the work so easy, how to do it. So he's going fundamentally, he's putting his lot of efforts, and obviously if you learn while doing, you will came to know what mistakes you have executed, right? So he's trying to make things to be possible while committing so many mistakes. So sometimes it's doing hard work as well. So what happens is, after having 50, 60 papers that he has written, then realize that during the finalizing the content, he feels that he needs to again go back to the first or second paper, wherein he must have read this particular concept, but exactly he's not sure where he has taken out this concept, right? So again he's trying to go back, so he's trying to digesting so many things at one point of time, because after 30, 40 papers, I think hardly you will remember what you have read in the first paper, second paper, third paper, right? Because you are a human, right? You are not a robot, right? So that is where indigestions of the concept will happen. You can't remember that much amount of content. That is where the rinse is possible. And the moment you feel that it is indigestive, or after a certain period of time, you are non-conclusive कि भाई मैंने ये कौन सी चीज कहाँ पढ़ी थी. So again you need to go back for every small concept, right? Even to find out one concept, you need to see the 10 papers, 20 papers. So obviously it increase your efforts. It always create a boredom, frustrations in your mind. That is where you feel that you again need to come out for the reading perspective. And somehow it happens that people lost their temper, people lost their interest, if they have to do this kind of work repetitively, right? And ultimately they are not getting the pace or the speed, or rather I can say the quality that they are looking for as a part of the entire research journey. So obviously nobody would like to continue with that aspect, right? And that is why 60 to 70% of the academicians and people are leaving their research because of this kind of frustrations that they feel it. So that is where res- uh, references always help you out to provide your research interest based on existing literature. So references always help you out to find out the existing research, and that is where it always help you out to find out the relevant review of literature, the gaps that need to be fulfilled, the trends of research which is currently working in the market by looking at the last year papers or second last year papers and so on. And it also help you to align with the existing knowledge, right? That this kind of paper have been drafted on which sort of theories. So that is where you can align the existing knowledge. Define contribution, as I already mentioned, that if you draft any research paper, so how can you take that this is your work and this is somebody else's work? So that is where you must have to see the portion of that work wherein if the citation has been mentioned, so this work has been carried out by someone, and although you have drafted in your research paper by taking the help of their work, so that is where citations will give the credits to that research person. At the same time, citation also helps to the current researcher to differentiate his work and the other's work, right? And the objective for giving referencing and bibliography through citations is to give the credits to the authors for the contribution that he or she has made on the particular area or body of knowledge on which we are working, right? So that is where referencing and bibliography also plays a pivotal role. Structure your paper. So obviously it also help you out to structure your paper in a clearest way. So ideally there are 5 portion of research, which is first is introduction, second is literature review, third is methodology, fourth is discussion results and conclusions. Use clear language. So research always help you out, to use your language to be more clear, precise, and in scholarly manner, right? So that is where your language should be very clear, proper, and sound. You should not use technical jargons. You should not use multiple things at the same point of time. And that is where you always go for cite sources properly. And that is where it has been said that every data, every details, and every line should be cited through the citation process. And these citations can be done in multiple way of citations, that is an APS style, MLS style, Chicago, Harvard, or whatever it is. And that is where this kind of referencing and bibliography always helps the researcher to stay updated for all the innovations or things which is happening into the market. And that is where it also help you out to make yourself updated. And that is where it always reflects and improve. So there is always a scope of improvement. If you are doing this kind of practice for multiple times, you are always seeking for the opportunities and improvements for the entire process that we are doing it. Engage with peers. You should always attend the conferences, workshops, seminars, and that is where you can make the networking activities with the researcher and you can learn from their experiences. Collaborate with experts. You should always collaborate with your mentor researchers to enhance the quality of work. So this is where you should always focused upon, if at all we are taking out any sort of content as a part of referencing and bibliography through citation process. So we should always take out the good quality papers from the good quality journals, and that is where we should always provide the citations process through referencing and bibliography. And we always have to have a keen observation that whatever referencing and bibliography that we are taking, it should be from the quality journals, right? That is where you should not compromise at any point of time. So,
Sir,
boliye.
yes, I just wanted to know. You have already listed what I am already telling right now. Google Scholar is okay for downloading the papers, right?
Google Scholar is one of the platform, right? It's a common platform. Wherein I have already mentioned that you should go with the Scopus and ABDC. That means even if you're looking for Scopus journal, they should have the citations through the Google Scholar, right? Because every Scopus paper are being, cited and, in the Google Scholar. But somehow there are certain kind of papers like, ABDC journals. There are certain Web of Science journals which are not having their indexing into Scopus. But although they are a very qualitative paper as well, right? So Google Scholar is a common platform wherein you can find out any sort of research paper, whether it is from Scopus, Taylor and Francis, right? So whatever platform that you have it, the Google Scholar is a common platform wherein you can find out any paper, right? If you have your title in your hands, just put the title in the Google Scholar, they will give you the paper. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So Google Scholar is not such a platform wherein the papers will be provided, but yes, all paper which has been published are available in Google Scholar. So that is where you can take out. I'm not saying a peer reviewed.
Okay. So because Scopus and Web of Science are generally paid, no?
No. There are 2 categories. If you are talking about Scopus, so Scopus has 2 categories. One is open access, another one is APC journal. If you're going for APC journals, academic publication charges kind of things, right? Yeah, annual publication charges, whatever the term full form is. But these journals are called APC journals. So if you're going for APC journal, they will take the money for processing the publications. That doesn't mean that they are not qualitative, but might be they are belonging to certain areas or country wherein they have to pay to their respective people and wherein accordingly they are charging. Although the charges are very high, right? For few journals like 80,000 to 1 lakh rupees for Q1, Q2 journals. So obviously for the developing countries, and again for APC charges, there are certain discounts for the developing countries like India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan. So this kind of journals authors are having almost 20 to 25% discount on APC journals of Scopus, right? But these are 30% journal, right? 40% journal, 60 to 50% journals are open access and free of cost, right? Like say
Sir,
if you talk about any journals of elsewhere, right? They're open access. They're not charging at all.
so just a quick question. If
Hmm.
if Scopus 60% papers are for open access, they would be available on Google Scholar also, right?
Right.
Or not, or not necessary? The papers which are on available on open access are peer reviewed only, right?
No, no, no.
Acha. So even though the 60%
See,
paper available on Scopus,
if you're planning any journal, you should always go into indexing, right? You should always go into section of indexing for any journal website. So every journal website has certain indexing. So if you go to that journal website, no, they will show you where this journal has been indexing.
okay,
There are very few instances wherein you will not find the Scopus journal in Google Scholar. Hardly 1 or 2%. I'm
yeah.
not also claiming it 100%, right? But 1 or 2% there are chances that they are not into Google Scholar. But I don't think so कि ऐसा मुझे कभी कोई केस मिला नहीं है.
Elsewhere is there, but many of the papers of elsewhere available on Google Scholar are not available for free download.
No elsewhere paper are available for free download because elsewhere is not open access. Please try to understand. There is one Scopus publication house that is elsewhere. There is another publication house which is called Taylor and Francis. There is another publication house which is belongs to IEEE. Right. So every publication house there has their own limitations, and they are allowed to have a free access if your institute will take the license of elsewhere. So every articles are free of cost.
Okay.
It's very costly. None of the hardly any universities or institute have the license. मुझे नहीं लगता कि इंडिया में IIMs IITs के अलावा किसी के पास होगा. Hardly, आप मान के चलिए IIM IIT के बाद 4+4 5 कुछ होगा. But मुझे exact नाम तो मुझे भी नहीं पता कि किसके पास है, right? Because they are expecting to do the research from us, but they are not expecting to provide the resources to us. So there is two deviations in the market which is happening. राइट अगर आपको स्कोपस करना है तो आपके पास उसके रेफरेंसेस भी होने चाहिए बट व्हेन यू गो फॉर रेफरेंसेस दे आर पेड so how can you get the idea? That is where India has a closed market in terms of quality research because academic institutions are not having that license and they don't bother to have a license. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So I had a question.
Yeah,
Can I
please.
ask? So there are certain gray literature and white papers. So are they allowed to be used as referencing?
Gray and white paper in a sense, can you elaborate the thing?
So there are these document reports of PWCs, other government organizations, and etc. Are they like EY and all? So can we use them as references?
हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल क्यों नहीं कर सकते जैसे कि आप आज की तारीख में कोई रिसर्च बता रहे हैं कि भाई एआई यूटिलाइजेशन कितना बढ़ रहा है ठीक है तो आपने
Hmm.
कोई फैक्ट्स स्टैटिस्टिक्स किसी रिपोर्ट से उठाए हैं तो आप उसको
Hmm.
रखो नहीं रखोगे क्यों नहीं रखोगे
Sure, sir. Okay.
ठीक है दैट हैज टू बी अलाउड राइट एंड यू नीड टू गिव इट
Right, right, right.
जरूरी नहीं
Okay.
है ना कि किसी को साइटेशन या रेफरेंसेस चाहिए तो वो पेपर ही पब्लिश करवाए
So even so, these papers have so like then, for example, I'm doing a topic and then I get these data that has already been collected. So then I have to look for new research gaps, right? From
yeah research gap could be anything right it could be
Hmm.
that you can provide some uniqueness in terms of the variables you can
Okay,
provide the uniqueness in terms of the locations you can provide some uniqueness in terms of the equations of the variables that you are taking
okay,
right so it could be anything right with the changing of times and system the changes keep happening right so how you can track those changes and that is where you can aim your research in terms of what has happened in the past and what else you can do it for the society today and that is where you will try to design your gap.
okay, sir. Okay.
And that is where the referencing and bibliography plays an important role, to bridge the gap between these two by providing proper literature. And then
Mm.
after, it is the duties and responsibility, rather I can say it is the quality and skills of researcher, how they are taking all these things into consideration and they are framing a research gap.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So these are the platform, and I'm not saying that these are the only platform. These are, to name a few, these are the platforms. Clear? Okay. So why do we need this referencing and bibliography? So obviously the first is to acknowledge the works of others. Second is to allow others to find out the sources easily. That means if your paper has been published or your work get published, so obviously you need to think in the perspective of the future readers. If at all your research work is qualitative, they will like to review your research work. So for them, you also need to design in a proper way to get the recognitions and authentication of work, right? So you need to recognize the things and also you need to authenticate the work that yes, this is the work and this is how it has happened. And to make the work more informative in terms of quality, the more your work is representing the problems towards the society, it has to be considered in terms of super normal quality of work. And this kind of work cannot be possible without systematic literature review. And to do the literature review, you need sources, and these sources could be provided by the maintenance of systematic references and bibliography for systematic literature review. I hope you all are agree with that. Yeah.
Yes.
And to trace the intellectual development of the ideas that you present, even if you want to trace the intellectual ideas of your work, that is where also the references needs to be utilized. So there are different types of references. The first is annotated bibliography. So this provides a summary and evaluation of each sources listed, and these summaries could be provided in terms of few parameters. To name a few is like you should provide the topic, you should give the credibility of research, authority, and usefulness towards the society. So if you are providing this 4 to 5 line explanation after bibliography, so any researcher who is who are going to read this particular research work, so and if they are going to refer these references, so they will have some broad overview in terms of why this particular author has been cited, right? So that is where it is going to be useful, right? Because sometimes it's also happened that you are getting some references from some paper, and while referring those referencing from that paper, you might realize that the paper from which you are getting the another references is less important in comparison to the references that you are getting from that paper, right? Which is also called cyclical process of references, जिसको रिसर्च के लैंग्वेज में बोला जाता है बिब्लियोग्राफिक कपलिंग, राइट? जिन्होंने मेरा वर्कशॉप अटेंड किया होगा, वीओएस व्यूअर्स, राइट, बिब्लियोमेट्रिक्स एनालिसिस, तो वहां पे ये चीज आती है कि भाई आपके अलावा दुनिया में और कौन से रिसर्चर है, या आपने उस किस रिसर्चर ने किस किस को रेफर किया है, कहाँ का नेटवर्किंग बन रहा है, राइट? सो दैट ऑल बीन क्वालिटेटिव डेटा, एंड उसके ऊपर भी रिसर्च पेपर लिखे जाते हैं, ठीक है? सो दैट इज कॉल्ड बिब्लियोग्राफिक कपलिंग, वेर इन बिब्लियोग्राफी information can leads to the deeper sense of where these particular sources was there. So that is where annotated bibliography needs to be there. Selective, you should not take out all the bibliography to provide certain details, but you should take out selected bibliographies for the topic wherein you should provide the keywords, the essential for understanding subject matters, right? So for selective bibliography, which you feel that these are the most important bibliography for my research work, you might have provided certain informations related to these bibliography. Subject bibliography, I think it is repeated. Okay, subject, right? So subject bibliography, instead of providing all bibliography, you should segregate in terms of subjects. And the important topics or subject, rather I can say variables of the study, based on which you need to provide certain bibliographic information. And this information, obviously, we have already seen the sources for referencing a bibliography, which are books, journal articles, reports, websites, and any other relevant material that you feel needs to be cited. Exhaustive bibliography. So again, it is an attempt to list all available sources on a particular topic or subject area, which aims to provide a comprehensive overview of the literature and sources for the researcher. And that is where exhaustive bibliographies are often used in comprehensive literature reviews or as a reference tools for scholars conducting in-depth research on specific topic. थोड़ा मैं fast जा रहा हूँ because we have a lot of things to cover. Chronological order. So chronological order means we should follow certain scientific order. This order could be based on year of publication. This order could be from author name from alphabetical order. Whatever the researcher feels comfortable, to refer for the future, they can utilize this kind of orders to have, easy understanding and easy findings for any authors or details or any other research paper that we have cited to be referred for the future aspect, right? So, and this kind of work will be utilized over a period of time. It is not going to be utilized instantly. So that is where we need to have a certain orders. Descriptive bibliography. So this descriptive bibliographics provides the detailed information about the physical characteristics of books and other printed material. So this details is for books and printed material for all those which we have cited, right, which has provided some backups to our research work. And that is where this printing history, typography, bindings, and other details needs to be provided. These descriptive bibliographies are commonly used in book history, bibliography studies, and cataloging of rare or special collections. So what are the elements that we need to refer in referencing bibliography? So we need to go for author's name, right? Then year of publication in which this publication has happened. Title of the research work. What is the title of the research work that we have published? Name of the journal in which this publication has been published. Edition in terms of the volume number and issue number, right? And again, it is a sub-part of periodicity, that is issue, part number, and all this. If any other series, like many a times journals are coming with issue 1, issue 2, right? Sometimes they are coming out with online issues. Sometimes they are coming out with special issues, right? So all sort of things you must have heard from the journal end, as in when you are planning to publish your paper. So that is what I'm saying, that this is the details that we need to, check and provide as and when it is required. Fine enough? Okay.
Sir,
Uh,
just let me know that this all citations are generally in a separate chapter, which is generally at the last of the thesis. Which at sometimes we also see that in between of the pages, in the footer, they mention some kind of stuff like this also. So what is that for?
can you repeat what exactly you are saying?
Suppose in any in between page of the chapters of a thesis, in the footer, at times there is referencing given.
हाँ, सो फूटर क्यों देते हैं, राइट? कि अगर आपको देखना है कि भाई इस पेपर के ऊपर कौन कौन से ऑथर्स का क्या क्या वर्क डेवलप हुआ है, तो आप उसको फूटर में डालते हो, बट मैं फूटर को सही नहीं मानता हूँ, ठीक है? देयर इज ऑलवेज अ बेटर थिंग्स टू हैव एंड नोट्स रादर देन फूटर, ठीक है? क्योंकि फूटर इन बिटवीन काफी बार जब आपको प्लेगरिज्म चेक करना होता है, तो इन दैट केस इट क्रिएट्स अ कंफ्यूजन, राइट? वो आपका एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव टास्क बढ़ाता है, राइट?
Yeah, correct. So okay. So if we are already quoting it in the references or bibliography chapter,
हाँ,
then
तो
we
फिर
need
उसकी
not
क्या
mention.
जरूरत है? फिर उसकी क्या ही जरूरत है? और
Okay.
अगर आप सिस्टमैटिक लिटरेचर भी कर रहे हो, तो फूटर में आप नीचे ढूंढोगे, या तो आप ऑथर्स का नाम कॉपी करके आप सर्च करोगे, तो पहली बार वो ऑथर का नाम आपको साइटेशन में मिलेगा और दूसरी बार आपको रेफरेंसेस में मिलेगा. सो यू नीड टू पुट वन टाइम एंटर एंड योर वर्क इज गोइंग टू बी डन. तो फिर क्यों हम फालतू का वहां पे कंफ्यूजन क्रिएट करें?
Okay.
ठीक है, लोग अलग अलग चीजें ढूंढते रहते हैं कुछ अच्छी लगाने के लिए, बट उतना वो मैटर नहीं करता, राइट? योर कंटेंट डज मैटर्स इंस्टेड ऑफ making confused people in the process.
Okay.
So these are the different formats of referencing in bibliography. So MLA, APA, Chicago, IEEE, CSC. So I had also mentioned that this kind of format has been followed in which sort of sciences. So MLA, it is basically literature. So English, literature, foreign language, communications, and religious study. APA, if I talk about, then it is used in psychology, education, business economics, nursing, and linguistic studies. Chicago, it is in history, arts, finance, anthropology, philosophy. IEEE, it is in engineering and technology, computer science, right? So in this cases, IEEE journals and publication house needs to be followed. CSE, so again, it is in biology, physics, chemistry, and geology. And this is how these different formats makes the same paper into different reference and for bibliography style, right? This is one of my paper which I have, taken up from the Google Scholar. So there are few citations like MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, and Vancouver. You can see the difference in the formats. We will discuss that differences in the next slide. So if you see this, this is a format of MLA style of references. Just a minute. Happen. Yeah, so we were on this slide. So you can see this MLA style of references. So you see this format. The author name is first, last name and first name. Then it has been followed by paper title, then journal name. Then you can see this 10.1. It is volume and issue number. Keep your eyes on that. And year of publication, 2021. And page number is 67 to 79. Now we are shifting from MLA style to APA style. You just see this volume and issue number, year of publication, and name. See this? The name
Sir,
appears
what
like,
is sir, what is volume and issue number?
sorry,
Volume and issue number. What is the difference between the two?
देखिए जर्नल साल में एक वॉल्यूम इशू कर सकता है, ठीक है, बट उस वॉल्यूम के डिफरेंट पार्ट्स वो इशू कर सकते हैं. दैट इज कॉल्ड इशू नंबर. ठीक है ना. तो इशू नंबर इज अ सब पार्ट ऑफ वॉल्यूम. कोई भी जर्नल
Okay.
है ना, साल में एक वॉल्यूम हो सकता है कि भाई 11 वॉल्यूम 11, पर 11 के अलग अलग पार्ट्स हो सकते हैं. 11.1, 11.2, 11.3 as per the policy and norms of journals and scopus if they want to continue. ठीक है. तो जैसे कोई बोलता है मेरा पेपर 11.1, तो 11.1 जर्नल की अपनी एक टर्मिनोलॉजी होगी सिंस इंसेप्शन ऑफ द जर्नल. समझ में आया? बट कोई भी जर्नल साल में 2 वॉल्यूम्स नहीं निकाल सकती, या ज्यादा निकाल रहे हो तो फिर दे आर नॉट ए क्वालिटी जर्नल्स. निकाल सकती है, मैं मना नहीं करूंगा.
सर जैसे अगर अगर एक जर्नल ने क्वार्टरली अपना पब्लिश करना है तो वो एक क्वार्टर में एक वॉल्यूम होगी, दूसरी क्वार्टर में भी वही वॉल्यूम होगी और इशू नंबर अलग होगा.
हाँ, इशू 1, इशू 2, इशू 3, इशू 4.
Okay. Volume will be
Issue 1 in
different.
one quarter, issue 2 in second quarter. The volume is same.
Okay, sir.
ठीक है.
Thank you.
Okay. So Chicago style, you can see this difference. तो यहाँ पे देखिए volume, issue number, name देखिए पूरा आ गया, just like in we had it in MLA style. Volume and issue number 10, और issue number को लिखा जाता है number 1, right? And again in APA style, the year of publication was in the year of publication was with the author name, but in this case again it has transferred in the volume and issue number, very next to volume and issue number. Clear? So this is how the difference between referencing bibliography can be established. So as I already mentioned, this is the last slide that we have to see that there is a thin line of difference between volume and issue number. So references, referencing and bibliography, हम लोग 40 और issue में फंसते हैं. ठीक है, चलिए, good question, but I hope it is clear now. So references are the items that you have read, right? तो मतलब आपने कहीं पे गूगल पे सर्च कर रहे थे और आपने उसको पढ़ा, और पढ़ने के बाद आपको ये लगा कि ये वर्क मेरे लिए अच्छा है, I need to cite it, right? So you have given a credit, right? So the work that you feel that the work that you have referred, and at the same time you have cited that work in your thesis or paper, this is called references. That means the content you have utilized from the material which you have read, that is called references. But bibliographies are not having that compulsion. So bibliographies are all those material which you read and then you realized that there would be certain other good papers which I need to read it. So bibliography are those papers who have given you the idea that what to avoid and what to take out. And that's why these papers are not that much supporting, but they are having the key role in terms of not giving them citations, right? They had a key role playing in terms of for you to, while drafting a paper, not to cite this paper because you have multiple other papers which you need to cite which are qualitative, right? So bibliography are all those material which you have read, but you have not cited in your work. That is called bibliography. I hope it is clear.
Sir, but bibliography, when to say, is a wider term than references, right?
Right. Bibliography
So
means
bibliography includes references also, no?
Bibliography means all things you have read. Out of those reading you have cited, it needs to be converted into references. And rest of the things needs to be there in the bibliography. Clear?
So
आपने 100
bibliography
पेपर
also.
पढ़े, आपने 100 पेपर
हाँ.
पढ़े, 100 में से 40 यूज किए, तो वो 40 को निकाल के रेफरेंसेस में ले आओ, 60 आपके बिब्लियोग्राफी हो गए हैं.
ओके, सो जो मैंने साइट
तो
किया
जो
हुआ है, जो थिंग्स which we have cited has to specifically come in references only.
Correct.
Okay.
Done?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
जो भी हम रिसर्च आर्टिकल लिखते हैं तो उसमें हम जो रेफरेंसेस हैं वो भी लास्ट में देते हैं और बिब्लियोग्राफी भी लास्ट में देते हैं.
हाँ, दोनों लास्ट में देखते हैं, बट ये तो टर्मिनोलॉजी का डिफरेंस है ना. आप लास्ट में दो या फर्स्ट में दो, वो तो डिस्कशन ही नहीं है. ये जो डिफरेंस है, ये तो टर्मिनोलॉजी का डिफरेंस है. ठीक है, कि अगर मैं रेफरेंसेस पढ़ रहा हूँ तो मैं ये समझूंगा कि ये मटेरियल्स यहाँ पे यूज हुए हैं, और अगर मैं बिब्लियोग्राफी पढ़ रहा हूँ तो मैं ये समझूंगा कि ये मटेरियल यहाँ पे यूज नहीं हुए हैं. यही डिफरेंस है. समझ में आया?
थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लेक्स लग रहा है.
आप बताइए ना, क्या कॉम्प्लेक्स लग रहा है?
सर अगर हम इसको एक लाइन में डिफरेंशिएट करेंगे बिब्लियोग्राफी एंड रेफरेंस में, तो सर वो क्या लाइन होगी? कंसाइज डिफरेंस.
आप कोई टॉपिक पर रिसर्च कर रहे हैं,
जी.
ठीक है, आप कहाँ से हैं, आप बताइए.
आई एम फ्रॉम जम्मू.
जम्मू, ठीक है. जम्मू में IIM से आपकी?
जी सर, बिल्कुल.
ठीक है, आप PhD कर रहे हैं, चले जाइए जम्मू की लाइब्रेरी में, क्योंकि आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी में एक्सेस नहीं है, तो आप जम्मू में चले गए. आप कोई टॉपिक पे रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, बोले मैं जितने पेपर आज मिलते हैं मैं सब डाउनलोड कर लेता हूँ. यू हैव डाउनलोडेड 200 पेपर्स एंड यू हैव रीड ऑल्सो. ठीक है, तो आपने सब रीड किए, जितने रीड किए उसको बिब्लियोग्राफी में रख दीजिए. तो जितने पेपर आपके टच में आ रहे हैं ना ड्यूरिंग योर रिसर्च जर्नी, वो आपकी बिब्लियोग्राफी है. और वो रीड करते करते आपको ये लगा कि 200 पेपर में से पेपर नंबर 2, पेपर नंबर 5, पेपर नंबर 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 आर यूजफुल फॉर मी, आई कैन टेक समथिंग आउट ऑफ इट. और आपने उससे लिया, और उस पेपर ने आपको वो कंटेंट या थियरी दी, तो आपको उसको साइट करना पड़ेगा.
जी बिल्कुल.
तो जिसको आप साइट कर रहे हैं उसको वहां से कट मार के प्रेफरेंसेस में जाके पेस्ट कर दीजिए.
सर इसका मतलब ये हो गया कि हम लास्ट में खाली रेफरेंस भी दे सकते हैं, अगर बिब्लियोग्राफी नहीं साइट करेंगे तब भी चलेगा.
चलेगा, वो आपका मानना है, और आपको कोई पकड़ेगा नहीं, वो भी अलग चीज है. बट आप ये समझिए कि किसी ने कोई मेहनत की है, तो भले आपने उसको यूज नहीं किया, बट वो यूज क्यों नहीं किया उसका आइडिया तो आपने उसने आपको दिया कि नहीं दिया.
जी जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
ठीक है. अब जैसे न्यूज़पेपर है या कोई वेबसाइट है URL, तो उसको साइट करने का तो ऑप्शन नहीं है, तो आप क्या करोगे? So you need to put certain website link, URL. You need to put certain magazine's name, journal name, right? Reference book name wherein you have taken underlying model or theory needs to be there.
क्लियर सर. सर एक चीज और पूछनी है, अगर सपोज कोई, जैसे आप हमें आज इतना अच्छा लेक्चर इंटरेस्टिंग हमें लग रहा है, हम कुछ पूछ भी रहे हैं, तो सर हम किसी के लेक्चर से हमारे माइंड में कोई अगर रिसर्च की प्रॉब्लम जनरेट होती है, तो अगर हम वो साइट करना चाहते हैं तो उसके लिए क्या पर्टिकुलर
आप मुझे एक्नॉलेजमेंट में रख दीजिए. आज आपने मेरा सेशन पढ़ा, आपको यूजफुल लगा, तो आप मुझे अपना एक्नॉलेजमेंट में दे दीजिए. आप मुझे अपना नाम हाई लिख के भेजिए, मैं आपको अपनी डिटेल भेज देता हूँ. ठीक है. सो दीज आर दी वेज टू गिव द क्रेडिट, राइट? हमें कहीं ना कहीं से किसी से यूज हुआ है, सो हमें उसको क्रेडिट देनी चाहिए. This is the ethical practice of research. That's what I'm saying. चलिए. Any other questions, please?
Sir, most okay, okay. Please proceed, sir. Please proceed.
Sorry.
Sir, is there any minimum limitations of the references? Should we mention in our reference research papers?
No limitations. जिस चीज से आपको कोई भी मतलब एक फुल स्टॉप लगाने का भी आइडिया अगर किसी से मिला है तो आपको उसको लगाना है.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
ठीक है. बट फिर भी आपको कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो तो यू कैन ऑलवेज रीच आउट टू मी. आई हैव पोस्टेड माय
Sir,
कॉन्टैक्ट.
I have a question.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
ठीक है,
Might
आप
be
कॉन्टैक्ट डिटेल्स में मेरा डिटेल्स ले लीजिए इन केस कोई प्रॉब्लम हो तो. चलिए ठीक है. हाँ बोलिए समीर सर. यू वर सेइंग समथिंग.
might be a little bit out of track, but a paper of systematic literature review generally has different kinds of frameworks in which the information is compiled. Now, how do we generally map the relationships with the frameworks and how that is put up in the tabular format? Because I have gone through many papers of systematic literature review and they have given some 0 1 0 1 2 like this kind of relationship table. How is that to be prepared?
आप क्या इकोनोमेट्रिक्स पढ़ रहे थे?
No, I was just going through a systematic literature review paper.
हाँ. So
So
there
I
should be some coding language. Either it has been mentioned in abbreviation, right? क्योंकि मैंने इकोनोमेट्रिक्स इसलिए पूछा क्योंकि वहां पे अरिमा अर्मा आर्च गार्च ई गार्च मॉडल आता है, राइट? सो वहां पे
yeah,
0 1 ब्लैक पीरियड इफेक्ट्स देना पड़ता है. दैट्स व्हाई आई हैड आस्क्ड यू. बट एनीवेज
no,
आपका तो
I was
नंबर है
actually
आपके
reading
पास.
some
आप मुझे वो पेपर
video
भेजिएगा.
model.
मैं वही बता रहा हूँ, मेरा नंबर है आपके पास, तो आप तो मुझे डिटेल भेजिएगा तो मैं एक बार देख लूंगा. क्योंकि आप क्या बोल रहे हो वो भी समझना पड़ेगा. क्योंकि एनीथिंग कैन बी यूटिलाइज्ड बाय एनी रिसर्चर एज पर दी क्वालिटी एंड थिंग्स दैट दे हैव इट. बट वो कौन से पेपर में क्या लिखा है तो वो तो समझना इट हैज टू बी देयर. क्योंकि उसकी कोई थियरी नहीं है. बट उसने
Okay.
किस लिए लिखा है? क्योंकि अगर मैं कुछ भी लिख देता हूँ एस्टेरिक करके और नीचे अंदर में कोई भी टर्म्स कंडीशन लिख देता हूँ तो मैं उसकी टर्म्स कंडीशन तो प्रेडिक्ट नहीं कर सकता. तो आप मुझे वो भेजेगा, मैं देख के बता दूंगा.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you.
ओके.
And as usual, the session was very nice. Thank you.
थैंक यू.
Sir, I have a question.
हाँ बोलिए.
Sir, most of the time we are referring the editorial pages of the newspaper, and that is a type of the articles from the renowned, we can say the renowned personalities. So how do you code that, or how do you reference whether we will use that in references or bibliography?
आपने उसको यूज किया है तो रेफरेंस में डालिए, नहीं किया है तो बिब्लियोग्राफी में डालिए.
Okay, sir. If you are using as a references, then what will be the
मान लो कि
process or
उसका कोई
what?
पब्लिकेशन नहीं है तो उसको स्पेशल लिंक में डाल दीजिए या स्पेशल एक्नॉलेजमेंट डाल दीजिए.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ठीक है.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
अभी सर मेरा जो डाउट था वो क्लियर हुआ कि आप जो बिब्लियोग्राफी रेफरेंस से मैं बहुत दिनों से तंग आ रहा था. थैंक यू सर. थैंक यू.
वेलकम वेलकम. ठीक है. सो आई होप आप सबने एंजॉय किया होगा. फिर भी कोई क्वेरी है तो आप बताइए फटाफट. फिर भी इन केस आपको फ्यूचर में कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो तो यू कैन ऑलवेज रीच आउट. ठीक है. एनी अदर क्वेरीज प्लीज. बताइए. चलिए तो ठीक है. आई थिंक वी शुड वाइंड अप द सेशन. थैंक यू सो मच ऑल ऑफ यू फॉर योर पेशेंट लिसनिंग. I hope this session was useful to you. Obviously, I have received a very good comment, so I'm happy to receive this. Uh, Thank you so much, Research Foundation of India, Ajay sir, Saurabh sir, Yograj sir, and the coordinator for today, SP madam, for coordinating this particular event. So thank you so much, all of you, and I hope the research would be your fingertips in the future time, and I hope you will enjoy your journey. Thank you. Over to you, SP madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for such an amazing session. It was truly enriching and knowledgeable. I would also like to thank all the participants for the active participation. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.